Let's put this discussion into another perspective and in the context of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, digital currencies, how this race is going to unfold in the near future.
Well, look, there are lots of new monetary technologies that people are experimenting with today. In principle, I think that's a good thing. Money has always been a technology. The idea that societies could have a third party or a way to trade with third parties, a medium of exchange, that's hugely efficient when compared to direct barter. But it's also much more efficient in principle to use electronic and digital forms of money because they can be nearly frictionless and nearly seamless, and they can allow for price discovery in real time, which can help to best allocate resources, help people find the best investment opportunities, and also to purchase goods that they want to, at the prices that they discover in this way. So I have nothing in principle against all this monetary experimentation. However, we need to keep in mind there is something fundamentally very, very different between a bottom-up, decentralized monetary experiment such as Bitcoin and a top-down, central bank imposed CBDC. They might use certain similar technologies, but the way in which they would work and be implemented are very, very different. Now, central banks might want to switch to CBDCs because it would make it easier to have tight control over the commercial banking system. It would also make it possible to implement outright negative interest rates and not have that result in a run on the banking system as people seek to withdraw cash from it. It would also allow a de facto form of taxation to be imposed on cash deposits, because you could simply say, through the CBDC, oh, we're going to take 10% out every year that you don't spend, or something like that, to kind of force people to spend money even if they want to save. Or they could say, oh, if your balance ever exceeds $1 million, whatever it is, we're just taking the rest because you're too wealthy now. So you can impose wealth taxes also through a CBDC. I find all of that quite frightening, to be honest. I would prefer that, to the extent the monetary system continues to evolve, it evolves in a more natural, bottom-up, dynamic, private sector, voluntary way, as opposed to being imposed on us from the top down.
There could be many different methods to push the society into the cashless system. But the question is, do you see this like the future, and what else can we expect in this monetary revolution?
Well, look, I mean, the politics here are important. If politicians decide that they really want to move their national monetary systems to a fully digital currency, they'll certainly give it a go. And who knows, maybe one or a handful of countries will absolutely choose to pursue that. That doesn't necessarily solve the international issues that we have with money today, however, and the dollar's status. And so I actually think perhaps in future these trends converge, because we need to try and restructure the international monetary system away from excessive dollar dominance on the one hand. I mentioned how gold could facilitate that, but there's no reason why you cannot take digital monetary technology and combine it with a gold-backed system, because the digital money that circulates could all represent a small share of some amount of physical gold that is simply safely held in a vault somewhere. That can be done at the national level. It can even be done at the international level. That is, a country with a reputation for neutrality and private property and rights being secure and all of that, such as, maybe Switzerland or Singapore or other relatively neutral jurisdictions, they could offer to be the centralized gold depository for what could be an internationally circulating gold-backed digital currency used by everybody. That could be our monetary future. I'm not sure it's going to play out that way, but that, in my opinion, would both solve the current set of problems that we have on the one hand and fully embrace and take advantage of new monetary technologies on the other.
There are so many topics I want to cover in this interview, but let's focus on one last topic that really is worrisome. What do you think about this process? We monitor it closely with a heavy heart, I would be honest. The process of debanking consumers for holding the wrong values or wrong views. It happened in Canada, in UK as well. Do you think it will spread to Europe too?
Look, it could. I mean, that clearly has been a trend in recent years. And look, we live in an age now when the same way you cannot live a normal life without access to water, electricity, the ability to use the roads and use public transport or drive your own car or whatever it might whatever it might be. A bank account is absolutely central to what most people would consider the exercise and enjoyment of their basic fundamental human rights. Without a bank account, you don't have what we accept nowadays as fundamental basic human rights. So to deny someone something that fundamental, that basic, because they have unpopular political views, that seems deeply, deeply concerning to me. And I think people are now realizing just how dangerous that could be as a result of several of the examples that you just mentioned. So there is some pushback against that now. That is the idea that the provision of basic banking services probably shouldn't be denied to people just because they are controversial in some way.
Thank you, John, so much. I appreciate this interview, and I hope to see you in Bulgaria next time, next year maybe.